ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरे प्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णा प्रेम प्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णा चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थसुभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदायादिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदताम् ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया मनश्च भद्रं भजतादधोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहैतुकी। आप सभी का स्वागत है।
We welcome all of you to this session on Śrīmad-Bhāgavad Gita, chapter 1, verse number 9. In the previous session, we studied what Sanjay narrated Duryodhana's speech to Dronacharya, and before that Duryodhana had also described the army of the Pandavas. He narrated the names of the generals in Pandavas' army, and he also narrated the names of 7 warriors in his own army, in which we saw that Dronacharya, Kripacharya, Ashwathama, who is actually a Brahman, and Dronacharya, the Guru, and Guru Putra Ashwathama are present. Actually, they don't have anything to do with the war, but because Dronacharya, Kripacharya, both
उनके द्वारा
are gurus,
पोषित हैं,
and they are maintained by Duryodhan.
ये उनके कुल गुरु भी हैं,
Kripacharya is the Kul Guru of the Kauravas also.
उनकी सहायता करने के लिए
That's why they have arrived here to help Duryodhan. Ashwathama is Dronacharya's son, so where the father is there, son is also there.
दुर्योधन कर्ण
He had good friendship with Duryodhan, Ashwathama,
शकुनी
uh, Karna, Dushasan, Shakuni. This was generally like a gang which was together
तो
to make
के
plans.
बाद में अभी दुर्योधन अभी
So after this, Duryodhan is still speaking.
श्लोक और बोलेगा,
He will speak another 3 verses.
द्रोणाचार्य को जो कह रहा है उसके बारे में संजय बताते हैं।
So Sanjay is narrating what he speaks to Dronacharya.
मदर्थे त्यक्त जीविताः नाना शस्त्र प्रहरणाः सर्वे युद्ध विशारदाः। विभिन्न प्रकार के हथियार चलाने वाले एवं युद्ध की कला में कुशल और भी अनेक शूरवीर पुरुष हैं जिन्होंने मेरे लिए अपने प्राण को दांव पर लगा दिया है। तो दुर्योधन ने 7 नाम ही गिनाए।
So Duryodhan had narrated these 7 names. Other than that, there were others also: Shalya, Bhagadatta, Jayadratha, Bahlik.
और भी अनेक बड़े-बड़े
There were many other big warriors.
अपने भाइयों में से उसने केवल विकर्ण
But
का नाम
and from his brothers, he just narrated the name of Vikarna.
शूरवीर हैं,
But as such, there are 100 brothers, and all are
छोड़कर।
great warriors.
तो इससे वो ये भी दिखाना चाहता है
So he also wants to show that in our army we do not have that much strength. Like I told earlier also, he was a great diplomat.
वचनों का प्रयोग कर रहा है और
He is speaking diplomatically, and he was trying to provoke or incite Dronacharya to fight the war with all his power.
तो इसलिए भी वो ज्यादा
So for that reason also, he did not narrate many names of the warriors in his army.
जो मेरे लिए
But he says that there are many other warriors also who have ready to lay down their lives for me. So Duryodhan has used a very peculiar word, tyakta jivita, which actually means those who are already dead.
जीवित माने प्राण, जीवन, और त्यक्त माने छोड़ दिया, यानी कि जिन्होंने अपना जीवन छोड़ दिया।
So those who have already laid down their lives for me, they are as good as dead.
हालांकि उनका कहने का
Although
जो उद्देश्य है
Duryodhan's purpose of speaking this is that they are ready to lay down their lives for my sake.
वास्तव में उसको शब्द का प्रयोग करना चाहिए था
Actually, he should have used Jikishava, those who will fight for me
यहाँ खड़े हुए हैं,
and
क्योंकि मरने के लिए
who are ready here to win the war. Because it is one thing to be ready to lay down one's life, and it is another thing to be ready to win the war. When one goes into the war, he doesn't go there to die, he goes there to win. If somebody is going into to play a match, he says that I will win and come.
वास्तव में एक नकारात्मक
So tyakta jivita is actually a word with negative connotation. So it might have come out of his mouth by mistake, or maybe he wanted to speak this intentionally. But actually, a warrior who wants to win the war should say Chikishava, that
जीतने के लिए यहाँ पर
I have come to the war to win.
बल से खड़े हुए हैं। और नाना शस्त्र प्रहरना,
Then Nana Shastra Praharanaha, there are many Shastra.
तो संस्कृत में 2 शब्द हैं,
So in Sanskrit we have 2 words, Astra and Shastra.
इसमें तो दोनों में दोनों का अनुवाद
In English, both are same weapon only,
लेकिन दोनों में अंतर होता है। अस्त्र उसको बोलते हैं जो
but there is a difference in both. Astra is that which is thrown on the enemy,
बोलेंगे अस्त्र,
like the mace which is thrown
तीर है,
on the enemy, like the arrow which is thrown on the enemy.
तलवार,
And another is which we keep in the hand,
तो आपके हाथ में रहते हैं, उसको बोलते हैं शस्त्र।
that is called Shastra.
नाना शस्त्र प्रहरना से कहने का मतलब है कि वो दोनों में कुशल हैं, अस्त्र और शस्त्र।
So here Nana Shastra Prarana means both Astra and Shastra. Earlier, the warriors used to use both Astra and Shastra, because if somebody is near, he will use Shastra like the sword. But if somebody is at a far distance, then sword will not reach there. So for that we have to use Astra. Like nowadays there we have this rifle. So the bullet goes from that. That is Astra. It is not Shastra. The gun or rifle is not Shastra. So he's telling that they are all expert in using such weapons. They are all expert in the art of warfare because they are all Kshatriyas, except the names that we narrated. After that, he speaks.
अपर्याप्तं तदस्माकं बलं भीष्माभिरक्षितं पर्याप्तं तु इदमेतेषां बलं भीमाभिरक्षितं। तो वो कहते हैं कि हमारा बल जो है वो भीष्म पितामह के
So he is
द्वारा
telling that our army is protected by Bhishma, grandsire Bhishma, from all the four sides. It is being protected by Bhishma. So Bhishma is a very universally famous warrior. He is indefeatable. Nobody can defeat him. Even Parshuram, the avatar of Bhagavan, could not defeat him. And Bhishma is also the commander general of his army. So the commander of the army has a very important role to play. If the commander is enthusiastic, very powerful, diplomatic, and understands the art of warfare, then he can instill enthusiasm even in the weak soldiers of his army. But if the commander himself is afraid, scared, in illusion, doesn't know the art of warfare, or not fighting with all his heart, then in his army, even if there are powerful warriors, they will not be fighting properly because they will not be feeling enthusiastic from within. So this is seen in other fields of life also, not just in war. Like if you have a team, you are playing some football or something. If your captain is very enthusiastic and very capable, then it increases the enthusiasm of the other players also. And he should not just know the art of playing, he should also know the art of diplomacy, because he has to take everyone together. Because in a team, every individual player has his own ahankara, that we won this match because of me. So actually, the leader or the captain or the commander of any team, any institution, anywhere, he should keep a, watchful eye on these matters, because people who have different their own ahankara, and they will clash with each other. Because we have seen earlier also that Bhishma and Karna, they used to have lot of clash with each other. So much clash that Bhishma did not even recognize Karna as a warrior. Although Karna was a mighty warrior and he was as capable as Arjun, but Bhishma used to say he's the son of a Suta. They they are just on chariot. What he will fight? He's an Ardharathi. And so Bhishma insulted Karna very much. Now Karna himself is also very egoistic. So he has taken a vow only that as long as Bhishma is the commander of this army, I will not go there to fight the war. Because if Bhishma is there, then Karna has to fight under him. He has to obey the orders of Bhishma. So like now, whatever order Bhishma gives as the commander, everyone has to follow that. So if Bhishma gives the order that leave this place, go there and fight with that particular warrior, then that soldier has to obey his command. Now Karna could not digest this point, that Bhishma on every occasion he keeps insulting me. Why should I fight obeying his orders? Another point is that Karna was very egoistic, arrogant. Uh, he used to think that Bhishma is an old person, what he will fight. So he had this ego that actually I will be fighting the war and the credit will go to Bhishma, because no matter anybody fights, at the end the credit goes to the commander only. If there is a king, generally king themselves used to be commanders. So the commander is going to get the credit. And Karna was always hungry for getting credit and honor. His whole life was spent in this only, that how I can get name and fame. This was one more reason Karna never wanted that the war should not happen. Sometimes it's such happened that Duryodhan had this feeling that leave it, let me, why should I get into the war? They are just asking for five villages. But Karna advised Duryodhan that why are you doing like this? They are our enemies. If you give them five villages, it will be a problem for us. So Karna provoked Duryodhan against the Pandavas. So his internal feeling was that if this war does not happen, how will I be able to show my own prowess? How will people understand that I am a greater warrior than Arjun? Karna actually wanted to kill Arjun because among the all the disciples of Dronacharya, the best disciple was Arjun, and this was personally announced by Dronacharya. He had stamped it, officially announced it, that Arjun is my best disciple, and there is no bigger disciple, no better disciple of mine than Arjun. And Arjun actually had those good qualities. So Karna was not able to tolerate this. So from this we should also learn, we should, when we are studying Gita, we should try to learn what is in it for our day-to-day life. What are the practical teachings? That's why I have entitled this series Gita and Our Life, because we have these types of issues in our family. Most of the fights that happen between father and son, brother sister, husband wife, or in the workplace between boss and employee or anybody else, most of these fights are all egoistic fight, because every person wants to prove himself the best. Every person wants that he should get name and fame, he should get honor, that I should be worshipped, I should be recognized. So, because of this, there are internal conflicts. Somebody does the work and the credit goes to somebody else, then that person feels very bad. And this is this was the problem of Karna. That's why he did not want to fight under Bhishma, because Bhishma would get the credit. And Karna also did not want that the war should not happen. So he time to time used to incite, provoke Duryodhan against Pandavas. Actually, all the seven names that Duryodhan has narrated, in that the third person, that is Karna, Karna is the only person on whom Duryodhan had complete faith, neither on Dronacharya nor on Bhishma, not on Kripacharya or Ashwathama, because these were Gurujanas, they were Brahmanical. Somadatti. Then regarding Vikarna, we discussed that he had spoken in favor of Pandavas during the disrobing of Draupadi. But Karna was the one who was already always ready with a weapon to kill Arjun. And Duryodhan wanted such type of person only. Because if Arjun is dead, then Pandavas are finished. That's why it was said earlier that the warriors in Pandavas army are like Bhim and Arjun. So Bhima and Arjun were the on Duryodhan's target, and Karna could see both. He could fight against both Bhim and Arjun. That's why Duryodhan had tremendous faith on Karna. But here the army is being protected by Bhishma. Now, is in this verse another word that is used is aparyaptam. Now, those of us who know Hindi, we understand that aparyapta means that which is not paryapta. Paryapta is means sufficient, and aparyapta means insufficient. So actually, what he is speaking is that our army, it is protected by Bhishma, but this is insufficient. Not that we don't have power. Oh, it means that we do not have sufficient power to win against Pandavas. On the other side, the Pandavas army is being protected by Bhima, and that is sufficient. So there, why Bhima's name is being taken? Because Bhim, who is the commander of the army, Bhim is actually not the commander. That is Drishtadhyumna. Drishtadhyumna is the commander. That was told earlier. Tava Shishyena Dhimata. That this military phalanx that is being designed by Drishtadhyumna, who was the commander of their army. So actually here Drishtadhyumna's name should have been taken. Why Bhima's name is being taken here? So that is because he had fear against a lot of fear against two people, that is Bhim and Arjun, and he knew that Bhim is a very angry person. He will not listen to anybody, and he is determined that he will kill these 100 Kaurav brothers. He will break the the thigh of Duryodhan, and he will tear apart the chest of Dushasan and take the blood. So he had lot of fear of Bhim. That's why he is telling here Bhima bhi rakshitam. Otherwise, Arjun. So actually, Arjun was very famous as a warrior, but Bhim was no less. Bhim had killed lot of asuras, lot of demons earlier. He had killed Bakasur, Jatasur, Hidimbasur. He was a very strong person. When when there was that plan of burning Pandavas in the house made of lac, so Vidur had told that, and he had arranged for a tunnel from that house so that the Pandavas can come out. So at now night, when Pandavas themselves put fire to that house and they went away from that tunnel, but they had fear that if we do not go far away from here and Duryodhan sees us or anybody sees us, then it will be a problem. So how could they hide? Anybody would have seen them and they would have recognized that these are Pandavas. They were very strong. They looked as princes. So if anybody sees us, they will understand. Then Duryodhan will kill us. So they had to quickly run away from there. So that time, Bhim, what did he do? Because these were five brothers and their mother was also with them. So Bhim, he took Yudhishthir and Arjun on one side on his shoulder, on one side of the shoulder, Nakul and Sadev on another side of the shoulder, and mother on his back, and he ran away from there. So we can understand from this that how strong was Bhim, because Bhim could run very fast and nobody else could run so fast as Bhim. So Bhim said, leave it. It is not possible for you. Our life is in danger. So you just, all of you sit on me and I will take all of you and run away. So like it is known that Bhima had the strength of 10,000 elephants. So one who has strength of 10,000 elephants, what is so big for him to carry five people on him? And he is the son of Vayu, so he ran away from there at the speed of wind, and he ran away very fast. He went very far. So he ran so fast that he crossed the border of Hastinapur very quickly. So this is Bhim, and Duryodhan had plotted many times earlier against Bhim. He had given poison to Bhim in the food. So Bhima has a special fire in his stomach, that is Vrikodar. He is known as Vrikodan. So he has the fire called Vrika. It can even digest poison. He has so much hunger. So if he is such a strong person, he has to eat a lot. So once these Kauravas, Pandavas, they went on a picnic. So then that time they were very young. So they had gone on for a picnic. So Duryodhan had prepared laddus because laddus were favorite food for Bhim. So and there was poison in the laddus, and Bhim ate up 800 laddus, and Duryodhan, he was very happy. He told, "Let us go and let us go and take a bath in the Ganga." So that time the poison had effect on Bhima and he got drowned in the river. But there is description in Mahabharata that from there Bhim went to reached Naglok, and when he reached Naglok, then all the Nagas, the snakes, they came and they started biting Bhim, and poison itself is an antidote for poison. So the more the Nagas were biting Bhim, the more his consciousness was getting awakened, and he got fully awakened. Then he only started killing the Nagas. So then the king of the Nagas, the news reached him, and then he told that he himself was a relative, and then he gave Amrita to Bhim, and then Bhim gained lot of strength from by drinking the Amrit, and he came back. So all these plotting that Duryodhan was doing, it was never successful. That's why Duryodhan is telling that their army is sufficient, although the number of soldiers in their army is less. As I told earlier, that war is not fought by the count of the other soldiers in the army. War is won by the enthusiasm, the courage of the soldiers. If somebody has no enthusiasm, then he cannot win the war. So for any activity, the first thing that we need is utsaha. So we should have utsaha, we should have enthusiasm, then nischay, determination. So there should be determination. When people are not successful, they become depressed. So these are the three mantras for success in life. So utsaha, nishchaya, dhairya, along with enthusiasm, determination, and patience. Along with that, we should keep doing our work also. And then what matters is association. We should associate with such people who are actually knowledgeable in that particular field, who can give good advice and have good character. So this is the secret to success. So Bhim is very enthusiastic. Bhishma is a warrior. His old age doesn't matter. Even in this old age, he is indefeatable. But he doesn't have as much enthusiasm like the Pandavas to fight, because he knows that I am on the wrong side. And his heart is actually with the Pandavas. That's why Duryodhana is telling that our strength is not sufficient. And Bhim's army, their strength is sufficient. So this is the meaning that he wants to convey to Dronacharya, because his objective, his motive or purpose is that Dronacharya should become very enthusiastic. If he is not enthusiastic, then how can we win? Because Bhishma is also old, Dronacharya is also old. Who will fight? So that's why he is telling our strength is aparyapta or insufficient. But these two words, aparyapta and paryapta, they have another meaning also. Because when Duryodhan was speaking, as it will become clear from the next verse, even Bhishma had come there. Dronacharya, Duryodhan had gone to Dronacharya. That time Bhishma, etc., also had arrived. That the king has gone to Dronacharya. Why is he going to Dronacharya? He's not some ordinary person, he's the king. So the Bhishma was also inquisitive to know what was Dronacharya, what was Duryodhan telling to Dronacharya. So now if Bhishma hears this word aparyapta and hears Duryodhan telling that our strength is insufficient, he will become angry. No matter, even if his heart is with the Pandavas, ultimately he is a Kshatriya. And under his commandership, it telling that our strength is not sufficient. It is an insult to Bhim. So that's why aparyapta also has a meaning which is asim. It means unlimited. In Hindi, this meaning is not taken, but in Sanskrit, this is also a meaning. One meaning of aryapta is insufficient. Like if you give food to a hungry person and he says that this is aparyapta, this is insufficient for me. That means I need more food. This is the commonly famous meaning. But in Sanskrit, aparyapta also has another meaning that is unlimited. So it means that our army is unlimited and their army is limited. That means we will win. So Duryodhan wants that Bhishma should understand this meaning, and for Dronacharya, he wants that Dronacharya should understand the previous meaning. This is his diplomacy. So with so much intelligence, he is choosing the words so that both people should be happy. So that's why he says that
ये भीम शब्द और भीष्म शब्द
Bhim and Bhishma, actually in Sanskrit, both words have same meaning. Both words mean bhayanak, very terrifying. In Harinamamrit Vyakaran, there is a sutra, Bhimo Bhishma Bhayanako. That Bhima and Bhishma, both words come from Bhi Dhatu, which means Bhi Bhay, fear, to give fear, to fear. So Bhim Shabda, the word Bhim also means Bhayanak, who incites fear in others, and Bhishma also means the same, who incites fear in others. So this is very interesting that both words are used like this together in this verse, and both are terrifying. But there is a difference also in Bhim and Bhishma from the point of view of Sanskrit. In Bhishma, there is a shakar extra, and which sha, like in in Sanskrit we have three sa, talavya, danta sa, and murdanya sha. So this murdanya sha, murdanya means that is upper. Murdha is actually the head. So in Bhishma's name there is this murdanya sha, which means he is superior. Even in the word Shrestha, we have this Shakar. So with this also he is indicating that we have this superiority. So become fearless and fight the war. And then in order to please Bhishma, he recites the next verse. If for any reason Bhishma starts taking the previous meaning of aparyapta and paryapta, that our strength is insufficient and Pandava's strength is sufficient, so just to compensate for that, he tells the next verse.
तो कहता है कि आप सब लोग जो है वो भीष्म की ही रक्षा करें.
So he says that all of you must protect Bhishma on all sides. So this is a very interesting verse, because in the previous verse he said that we are protected by Bhishma. So he had told that the strength of our army well protected by Bhishma. So he had. So now the question is that one who is protecting us, how can we protect that person? The protector is stronger than the protected. If he is not stronger than the protected, then how can he protect? So in the previous verse, he told that Bhishma is our protector. Then he says that all of you should protect Bhishma. Because earlier, when the armies used to fight, it is not that they just directly run and they started fighting. Like if you see a hockey or a football match, so there the players, they have their own positions in the playground. Somebody is in the front line, somebody is on the back side, somebody is the goalkeeper, and they have their own limited range, limited domain of playing, who will tackle whom. Like this, they have their own strategy. So before playing, they analyze how, what is the strength, weakness of the other team, how to fight against them. So earlier, this was also done, the strategy planning. So this was known as Vyuha, the army arrangement, how, where everyone will be placed. So that's what he is telling here, that all of you remain placed on your positions, be situated in your assigned places. So it was the job of the commander to assign the roles to everyone. Like if you have a big organization, the manager has his role, assigning different responsibilities to different people and check whether they are doing their work or no. The accounts person will do the work of accounts, salesperson will manage sales. If salesperson goes to accounts and accountant does the work of sales, then the organization cannot work properly. So this is also very important in any institution, any organization, or even a family. Everyone should be very clear about his roles and responsibility. And if he does that, then everything will work systematically. Otherwise, we have fight for this also. Why should I do this? This is your job.
तो इसलिए वो बोलता है यथा भागम अवस्थित है, ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण
So
है
that's why he is telling Yatha Bhagam Avasthita. This is very important for any society or institution, that everyone should be working according to his capability and roles, responsibilities. Then, along with that, Duryodhan is also telling, please protect Bhishma. So earlier, the major generals, the commanders who used to fight, they used to have their own protectors. They did not fight alone. If you read Mahabharata, because it's very, this 18 days war is explained in great detail in Mahabharata. So it is explained there that Bhishma, when he's fighting, he has his own protectors. So the wheels of the chariot also have to be protected, because if the enemy destroys, breaks the wheel of the chariot, then we cannot fight. So there were people who were meant to protect the wheels of the chariot. Then the army can come in hiding and also kill the opponent. So we had to protect from that also. Although it is against the rule of the war, but still we can never trust the enemy that they will obey the rules of the war. So these big commanders in the army, they had their own protectors. And sometimes it used to happen that if somebody's life was at stake, even the big generals used to come and protect that person. Like if Bhishma is fighting very valiantly and he's being attacked from all sides, then Dronacharya, Kripacharya, Ashwathama all used to come to protect their commander. Because if the commander dies, then the war is finished. Here, although even after Bhishma's falling down, other person was declared as commander, because this was an internal family war. But if you study little recent history, when the commander used to die, the war used to get over, and it was to be declared that the opponent has lost. So that's why it was very important to protect the commander of the army, because commander was like the life of the army. Like in our body there is atma, If Atma comes out, no matter how muscular, how strong you are, without Atma, the body is meaningless. So similarly, the commander of the army or in any institution, the leader, it is very important to protect him, that he should have good health, others should not attack him, people should not criticize him, not plot against him. In the olden days, the kings used to keep a watch on this. The ministers of the king, the well-wishers, they used to take care that the no nothing wrong should happen with the king, because the enemies are always plotting. They used to send their spies. They can send their spies to the king, feed poison in the food. So the king always had to be protected. So from that point of view also, it is being said here that please all of you protect Bhishma. So till here Duryodhan spoke the words. Till here it was done. Raja Vachanam Abravit, the king spoke. Uh, so till here it was narrated what words Duryodhan had spoken to Dronacharya. From 2nd till 11th. In these 10 verses, it is narrated what did Duryodhan speak, how he used diplomacy. Now, from 12th verse onwards, what happened? Sanjay is narrating. So when Bhishma heard this, he had this feeling that Duryodhan seems a little scared. He is lacking enthusiasm. He is lacking hope. Although it doesn't seem from Duryodhan's words that this is his condition, but Bhishma could understand uh, the deep mood that is inside Duryodhan, that why he came to Dronacharya and why he narrated only these 7 names in the army, and on the other side he narrated the names of 19 soldiers, and in that the 17 soldiers he compared them with Bhim and Arjun. So what does all this prove? So the intelligent people, they study this mentality. So in English, it is called reading in between the lines, that when a person is speaking, that too is speaking, but what is the inner purport, the import behind his words. In Sanskrit, this is known as Vyanjana. And this Vyanjana is extremely important to understand Shastra, because Shastra have been written or compiled by very capable people, and they have their a way of writing. They don't tell things directly, they speak in vyanjana, by implied meanings. So it has to be studied, what is the bhav or the mood in between. So in our life also, when we have to say something to somebody, many times we don't tell directly, we tell indirectly, because if we tell directly, the person may feel bad, but we have to speak also. So we use such words that we can convey our point also, and the other person doesn't feel unhappy also. So the snake also dies and the stick is also not broken. So Duryodhan chose his words very carefully to make Dronacharya enthusiastic. So the grandsire Bhishma, he is very clever, very religious, is very intelligent. So he realized that Duryodhan is lacking enthusiasm. So Sanjay said, the senior leader of the Kuru dynasty, the valiant grandfather Bhishma, cheering him or Duryodhan on, roared loudly like a lion and blew his conch. So what does this prove? It proves that Duryodhan had some despondency, despondent feeling in his heart. This chapter itself is named Vishada Yoga, and it describes only the Vishada of Arjun, but it seems that Duryodhan got into Vishada even before Arjun. Duryodhan became despondent even before Arjun. That's why he's telling. That's why he was telling earlier that these warriors are already dead for my sake. So this is a statement of great despondency. That's why Bhishma wanted to encourage Duryodhan. Otherwise, why he has to speak like this? Why should be said that the Bhishma he blew his conch and roared like a lion to encourage Duryodhan? So the old lion he roared very loudly because, as I said, in the war, the most important part is enthusiasm. If you have to play, if you have to fight a competition, even if you have to write an exam, nowadays there are competitive exams. So there, if you lack enthusiasm, then you are finished. So in order to encourage Duryodhan, he roared loudly. He roared like a lion. Although he was old, but he had.
और बड़े धार्मिक व्यक्ति थे, तो वृद्ध होते हुए भी उनमें बहुत शक्ति थी.
But
आजकल तो देखते हैं कि युवा लोगों में भी
nowadays we see that even young people, they don't seem to have courage. They their faces seem so depressed. But if you see Bhishma, his age was more than 100, maybe around he must be minimum of 150 years of age at this time during the war. But even in this age, he roared so loudly, and then he blew the conch.
तो शंखम दधमौ प्रतापवान. तो ये पितामह हैं, वृद्ध हैं कुरुवंश के, और सबसे
So
ज्येष्ठ
grandfather Bhishma, who is eldest. So first of all, he blew the conch. Actually, Pandavas should have blown their conch initially because they have come here to.
ये तो वास्तव में डिफेंसिव लोग हैं. आक्रमक तो उनको होना है, लेकिन
So actually, Pandavas should be attacking first, but the conches were blown first from the.
श्रेष्ठ हैं, पांडवों के भी वही श्रेष्ठ हैं, पितामह उनके भी हैं, तो इसलिए उन्होंने शंख को बजाया. और
So that's why he blew the conch.
जैसा आप जानते हैं,
And this
होता है शम और खा, दो शब्दों से बना. शम का मतलब होता है शांति.
So Shankha is made of two aksharas, Sham and Kha. Sham means Shanti, that is peace.
तो शम का मतलब होता है शांति, पीस.
Sham means peace, and Kha means sthan or place.
शब्द का मतलब होता है आकाश, स्पेस.
Kha means akasha or space.
स्पेस है, आकाश है, उसमें से जो ध्वनि निकलती है.
So the space or the akash of Shankha, the sound that comes from it, it makes the environment peaceful. That's why for any auspicious activity, before that, their conch is blown.
जैसे मंदिर में पूजा की जाती है तो वहाँ शंख ध्वनि.
Like in temple before the puja, there the conch is blown. So this is very auspicious.
क्षत्रियों के लिए धर्म है, इसलिए इसको धर्म युद्ध.
So just like the war is the dharma for the kshatriyas, and this Kurukshetra is called as Dharma Kshetra. So its beginning is also done by blowing of conch shell, because this is a fight for dharma. But the important point here is the conch that Bhishma blew that was not for starting the war, like it is told in the verse itself. This was done to please Duryodhan. For the war, the conch will be blown later. Is Bhagavad Gita which was recited. After that, Yudhishthir, he will come down from the chariot and he will go to take blessings from Kripacharya, Bhishma, Dronacharya, Shalya. Then he will go back and then there will be blowing of conch. And that blowing of conch will be for starting the war. The the blowing of conch and the blowing of trumpets, etc., which is told here, it seems as if it is for starting the war. But that is not the case. If you study Mahabharata, you will understand that when the war that begins after recitation of Gita, Arjun picks up his bow and arrows. They will come back to their army, and when he will again lift his bow and arrows, then that time the Pandavas army, they will blow the conch shell and then the war will begin. So this blowing of conch that is told here, this is not for starting the war. This is told just to encourage Duryodhan. But because they blew the conch, and this blowing of conch had to be answered by the Pandavas, it has to be responded, and that will be recited after this. We will continue from there in the next session. That from the other side, how Bhagavan will blow his conch. So Bhagavan will blow his conch. That will be explained from the next verse onwards. We will stop here today.
कोई प्रश्न है? नहीं? ठीक है, तो प्रार्थना श्लोक बोलता हूँ. बोले.
What is the meaning of the bhi dhatu? What is the meaning of bhi dhatu?
भी माने भय देना.
So bhi means to give fear. What is the meaning of bhi dhatu? The root bhi, it means to make somebody fearful.
Terrify somebody, to make someone fear, that is called bhi.
So bhay, bhayanak, bhiti, these words are bhim, bhishma, these all come from bhi dhatu. They are from bhi dhatu.
And Sandeep ji?
बोलिए संदेश. बोलिए. नहीं बोलना.
The problem is on my side, I can't. Ankit ji, could you please allow me to unmute? Maybe in the meantime, another question?
Yes.
What is the objective of the Pratana shlokas after the end of the class?
तो ऐसे हमारे यहाँ प्रथा है कि कोई भी कार्य करते हैं तो आदि और अंत में मंगलाचरण किया जाता है. जैसे मंदिर में आप जाते हैं ना, आरती होती है तो पहले शंख बजाते हैं.
So like we go to temple and the conch is blown in the beginning, at the end of Aarti conch is blown. So this Shankha is auspicious. Similarly, we have Mangalacharan, and Mangalacharan is performed both in the beginning And at the end,
भवन्ति अध्येतारस्य, ऐसा पतंजलि ने लिखा अपने महाभाष्य।
like this, Patanjali has written in Mahabhashya. So the question, what is the dhatu for the words like dharma, dharana? That is dhri dhatu.
ठीक है, और कोई है? हाँ बोलिए, संदीप बोल रहे हो?
शैलेश जी पूछ रहे हैं, प्रणाम बाबा जी, कैसे
So the
समझे
question, Pranam Babaji, how to understand that Bhima had such supernatural powers as strength of 10,000 elephants, given that he was a human being? Was this a result of some boon that he received, or was it something else? So the answer, he is the son of Vayu, Vayudev. Vayudev is considered very powerful Devata. It's like Hanuman, he is very powerful. He is also the son of Vayu. So whether you consider him Vayu's Angsha or Vayu Avatar or Vayu Putra, whichever way, then Hanuman and then Shri Madhvacharya Bhim. So in southern India, Sampradaya is there. So he is also regarded as avatar of Vayu. He was also physically very powerful. So in the Devas, Vayu is considered most powerful. Like if you have a strong wind, can anybody stop it? So from childhood, Bhim was very powerful. Because he was very powerful. There is a story in Mahabharata that once that Mother Kunti, she was sitting. These Pandavas were born in the jungle. So Bhim was on her lap, and she was sitting on a piece of stone. And there, a tiger came, and Kunti became afraid. And suddenly she stood up. And when she stood up, then Bhim fell down from her lap on the piece of stone. And when he fell down, then oh, Bhim got hurt, or the piece of slab. So it is told in Mahabharata that there was a crack in that piece of stone by Bhim's hitting that piece of stone. Nothing happened to Bhim. So from childhood he was like that.
संदीप जी पूछ रहे हैं, मेरा प्रश्न कर्ण के बारे में है। वो 3 बार अर्जुन के साथ हार गए थे, जैसे कि विराट युद्ध में और द्रौपदी स्वयंवर में, पर फिर भी उनको प्रसिद्ध।
So the question is regarding Karna. He lost thrice to Arjun in Virat Yuddha, Draupadi Swayamvar, etc. But still he wanted to gain recognition by defeating Arjun. Why he was not able to accept the fact despite being Surya Putra? You don't know what is Kshatriya. Kshatriya doesn't become despondent by getting defeated. Kshatriya wants to win. Kshatriya doesn't become despondent by getting defeated. If your team loses 3 times against another team, what will they decide? That we will not play again, or what? So what type of logic is this?
ठीक है, चलो श्लोक बोलिए। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनंदनः पार्थो वत्स सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् एकं शास्त्रं देवकी पुत्र गीतम् एको देवो देवकी पुत्र एव एको मंत्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माप्येकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा
कर्माप्येकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा
कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः
कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः
पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेताः
पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेतः
यच्छ्रेयः स्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे
यच्छ्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे
शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम्
शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम्
यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णो
यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णो
यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः
यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः
तत्र श्रीर्विजयो भूतिर्
तत्र श्रीर्विजयो भूतिर्
ध्रुवा नीतिर्मतिर्मम
ध्रुवानीतिर्मतिर्मम
कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय
कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय
देवकीनन्दनाय च
देवकीनन्दनाय च
नन्दगोपकुमाराय
नन्दगोपकुमाराय
गोविन्दाय नमो नमः
गोविन्दाय नमो नमः
नमः पङ्कजनाभाय
नमः पङ्कजनाभाय
नमः पङ्कजमालिने
नमः पङ्कजमालिने
नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय
नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय
नमस्ते पङ्कजङ्घ्रये
नमस्ते पङ्कजङ्घ्रये
भवे भवे यथा भक्तिः
भवे भवे यथा भक्तिः
पादयोस्तव जायते
पादयोस्तव जायते
तथा कुरुष्व देवेश
तथा कुरुष्व देवेश
नाथस्त्वं नो यतः प्रभो
नाथस्त्वं नो यथा प्रभो
नाम संकीर्तनं यस्य
नाम संकीर्तनं यस्य
सर्वपापप्रणाशनं
सर्वपापप्रणाशनं
प्रणामो दुःखशमनस्तं
प्रणामो दुःखशमनस्तं
नमामि हरिं परम्
नमामि हरिं परम्
ॐ तत्सत्
Krishna,